Welcome in Friday edition, Outkick the coverage. I'm a beaten man. I'm a defeated man. You know me. Generally speaking, I'm an optimist. And I don't want to be negative, but I see zero reasons for optimism in the world of athletics right now. Ryan Klein, that Purdue kind of Clay Travis ugly doppelganger, just reached right into my heart, yanked it out, and held it up, still beating. The shots that he made will live on as nightmares for the remainder of my days. The step back three that he hit to tie the game with 38 seconds to go, I will never forget so long as my brain is functional. The corner foul that led to 3 free throws, I will never forget either. I gotta say, I don't know what I could do that would actually in any way change this conclusion that I'm rapidly heading towards. I think, in general, that I may have to retire as a fan. I don't come into this decision lightly. I don't think it's a crazy decision. I don't think it's a decision without any defense at all. I am telling you right here and now, the last 20 years of being a fan has not really been beneficial to my overall life. And next week, I turn 40 years old. And when I am 40 years old and I am unable to sleep at night over a game involving 19, 20, and 21-year-olds, I literally slept 2 hours last night. I don't think it benefits me anymore. I had an epiphany. I had a moment with an Uber driver in Atlanta. 75-year-old man driving me to my television studio, and we were talking about the Super Bowl being in Atlanta. And he said to me, you know what? I used to be a big Falcons fan. I'm glad the Super Bowl is in town. But after they gave up a 28-3 lead, he said, I decided to retire. And this was an eye-opening idea to me. The idea that you could retire from being a fan. He's like, I still watch games, but I no longer allow my entire being to be implicated or impacted in any substantial way by the Atlanta Falcons or the Atlanta Braves or the Atlanta Hawks or the Georgia Bulldogs or any other Atlanta area team. And he said, since I made that decision, my life has become a billion times better. And I think if you go look at the data points out here, I have been a Tennessee fan for as long as I can remember. Since I was 5 years old or whatever, watching the Sugar Bowl against Miami. In 1998, they won the national championship. I don't think Tennessee basketball is going to get to the Final Four in my lifetime. I don't think they're ever going to win a national championship. This year, they were number one in the country for a month. They did not win the SEC. They did not win the SEC tournament. And they did not advance beyond the Sweet 16. This season, despite what a lot of other people want to say, is an unmitigated failure. This is an unmitigated failure. And I understand some people out there are like, look on the bright side, they still made the Sweet 16. If you're 22-1 and you are the number one team in the country and you lose your league and you lose your SEC tournament and you lose your in the Sweet 16, it's not a good season. And I don't know what the standard should be, but in my mind right now, as we head into the college sports off season, I'm looking ahead. I'm not optimistic about the Titans. I don't think the Titans are ever going to go anywhere. I don't think Tennessee basketball is going to be bad. I think Rick Barnes is a ceiling Sweet 16 coach. He's won 10-1 in his last 12 SEC NCAA tournament games. 10-1. When he gets to the big game, for whatever reason, his guys choke. First half against Purdue, Tennessee was 4 of 13 from the free throw line. I don't know what happened. I don't know who inhabited their bodies during that, but basically 24 minutes worth of this game. But this was an unmitigated, disastrous performance for 24 minutes. Tennessee played well for 16 minutes. And that was almost good enough to beat Purdue. But I've seen this happen over and over and over again. Tennessee is 1-7 all time in Sweet 16 games. I don't see anything that's going to change. This brutal honesty. I owe my career to the fact that I am brutally honest. I don't see anything that's going to change that's going to make luck better, that's going to lead to better results. Last year, when that Loyola of Chicago nun sold her soul to the devil, and that guy rose up and hit the jumper that went off the backboard and off the rim like 5 different times, I could look back and I could say, you know what? I feel good about the team that's returning. And all they did was do one game better, and they didn't even win the SEC. And they lost the SEC tournament, something that Tennessee hasn't won in 40 years of my life. So at some point, you have to acknowledge the truth, which is it's not going to happen. And so I have to look down the road here. Titans, no hope. They're going to be 8-8 forever, let's be honest. There's no hope there. The University of Tennessee men's basketball program, they'll make NCAA tournaments. They'll occasionally make the Sweet 16 where they'll lose. Nothing else good will happen. Tennessee football, they're not going to be very good next year. Until Nick Saban retires and Dan Mullen gets struck by lightning, they're not going to beat Alabama and Florida in the same year. There's no point in rooting. So in my life, I win at everything that I can control, right? In my life, if I control it, I win at an insane rate, right? If I make the decisions and if I control it, I get rich, my audience grows. Basically, other than selling pants, everything that I touch turns to gold if I am actually in control of it. So why would I allow these 18 and 19 and 20-year-old kids to impact my life when I can't control it? Like, if I had the money to be a big booster, I would just go out and buy all the best talent until the NCAA banned me, all right? This is just being brutally honest, so that my side would win. If I would be like those Texas guys who struck oil, and they could have gone out and they could have cured polio, they could have cured, like, HIV, they could have cured all these things. Do you know what those Texas oil guys did? They poured all their money into their college football teams so they could win more. That's an amazing story. Billions of dollars roll into Texas, and everybody just goes out there and decides that they're going to make their team better in football. Right? That's all that happened. And so, as I look down the road, what's going to happen over the next 20 years? Tennessee sports exist to make me sad. That's what I really have come to the belief on. They exist to take a man who is otherwise a thriving, successful, dominant human being and turn him into a sniveling child. And so I believe that the important thing that I may have to consider here is, and in fact I am considering it, I may have to retire from fandom, just like that old man did in Atlanta. Doesn't mean I won't watch sports. Doesn't mean I won't gamble on sports. Doesn't mean I won't have a tremendous time watching sports. But the analogy I would use is, when I go watch the Nashville Predators inevitably lose in the playoffs, I'm upset when the team loses for like 4 minutes and then I'm done. When Tennessee loses, I go to bed and stare at the ceiling for hours. Last night after the game, I was putting the kids to bed. The 2 youngest fell asleep. I went into my 11-year-old's room and I just plummeted down on his bed head first and stared into the covers by myself. He's 11 and he said, "Dad, it's just a game." I can't handle it. I can't handle it. I can't handle the way they rip out my still beating heart. I can't let it happen. Why would I let it happen for 20 more years? For 40 more years? For as long as I live? I don't see any championships coming. I really don't. I hate to be negative, but I see zero reason for optimism. And if you continue to embrace the same bad results year after year after year, at some point, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a better result. I don't need to find myself falling into my 11-year-old's bed, staring into the covers, because some harebrained loser named Ryan Klein decides to turn into Steph Curry in the greatest game of Steph Curry's life, and he can't possibly miss. Some people out there have responded to my suggestion by saying, D-Bat, don't be a pussy. But I would say, you never say that to somebody who retires after a lifetime spent working. You throw him a party. You say, hey, congratulations. Your life is going to be better now. You are freed from all of the obligations of labor, all of the responsibilities of showing up for work. You have put in your time. You have put in your energy. You have put in your effort. You may now go forth and prosper, and you have no responsibilities. Travel the world. Do whatever you would like. Nobody says to the guy who retires, you're being a pussy. The whole purpose of working is so one day you can retire and you don't have to work anymore. So why would I continue to be a fan when I can just watch sports, gamble on it, and not be soul-crushingly defeated year after year after year after year? Do you know how much more accomplishment I would have if Tennessee athletics didn't suck? And honestly, the only positive I can say for me being a fan is, can you imagine how outrageously much of an asshole I would be if I dominated in every other facet of life and my teams won titles all the time? I might be the most insufferable asshole of all time. If you guys tuned in to watch my show or listen to my show, and I was just talking about how I was an Alabama Crimson Tide fan for football, and we just kicked the dog shit out of everybody all the time, and Nick Saban was the greatest human being on earth, I don't think people would like me very much. I would be insufferable. Deservedly so. I, last night, when that foul was called on the three-point shot, would have written a check for $100,000 without blinking for that call to be reversed. I'm not even kidding about that. Don't tell my wife. I would have gotten my checkbook, written $100,000 of a check, and handed it to anybody that wanted the $100,000 to take away that foul call. That's not healthy. That's not normal. Then it's not normal to be almost 40 and go to bed and fall into your kid's bed and refuse to stare at the ceiling, and then once he falls asleep, to go downstairs and stare at the ceiling until you fall asleep for 2 hours and then get up and do a 3-hour radio show. I don't think it's healthy. I think that I am in an abusive relationship with the University of Tennessee athletics program, and I think I am the battered of being abused by them. I think they are punching me in the balls over and over and over again. I think I'm getting kicked in the balls by the Vols over and over and over again, and it's not going away. And it's one thing if you lose to like a championship caliber team. I would have been able to handle if Tennessee had lost to Duke, even if Tennessee had lost to Kentucky, or if they lost to UNC. Any of those teams which are championship pedigree. But Purdue, they're like the 48th most relevant Big Ten school. It's one thing to lose to a team that matters. It's another thing entirely to lose to a team that doesn't matter and also never wins. That's the real kick in the balls here. This is a team that doesn't matter and isn't relevant. Even Purdue Boilermaker fans acknowledge this is true. They know that they don't matter, and they know that they aren't relevant. If my team can't even beat teams that don't matter and aren't relevant, why am I in the game at all? Why? I'm thinking again that this is the play that I need to retire. So that is my thoughts as we head into the long college offseason. Maybe I'll change my mind. I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to come out of retirement for this year's Tennessee football team. I'm not coming out of retirement to go 5-7 or 6-6 again. The Tennessee basketball team is going to be worse. They are never going to the Final Four in my life. They're probably not going to go to the Final Four in your life, no matter how young you are. They aren't going to win another national championship unless things change in a drastic degree. And I'm not going to be one of those loser fans who chooses sports that don't matter to fulfill them. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, we're getting a new women's basketball coach. That's really going to make me feel better. No, if you're a college sports fan, the only two sports that really matter are football and men's basketball, maybe a tiny scintilla of baseball, depending on where you are. Otherwise, every other sport doesn't matter. I don't want to hear about your track championships. I don't want to hear about your women's volleyball program. I don't want to hear about your women's basketball program. If you enjoy and define yourself through those successes, that's fine, but you better be related to the coaches or the players. Everybody else defines their programs by how they do in football and in men's basketball. I believe this is true. No team has made the NCAA tournament more times than Tennessee in a major conference and not gone to the Final Four. So I'm potentially going to retire. I don't think it's a DBAP argument. I think it's an SBAP argument. This is the equivalent of retiring from a job. This may be it for me. And maybe the program will be better without me. It could be that with all my great power has come great responsibility, and maybe I'm the reason that they're losing. Maybe I'm the curse. As my career has ascended, volunteer athletics has plummeted. Maybe if I divorce myself to them, I can continue to soar into the heavens, and they can finally start to climb back up. Basically, ever since I was connected to them, they've been an unmitigated disaster. So maybe I'm the curse. It's possible I'm the curse, and by untethering myself from the University of Tennessee athletics, everybody else can move freely, and the world can be a better place. These are the thoughts that I had last night as I laid in bed by myself, quietly staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep, after watching Virginia and whatever the heck that was, Oregon. All right. Here are my Sweet 16 picks for tomorrow. Today. I can't even keep track of what day it is. It's Friday. LSU +6. All right? LSU +6. Auburn, UNC. The over 164.5, 165. I'm not sure what the latest number is. Texas Tech +8. And, Virginia Tech +8. And I'd like to take Texas Tech +8 if I can go back in time. And Houston +3 against Kentucky. All right. Those are my plays. Get rich, kids. LSU +6, Auburn, UNC the over, Virginia Tech +8, Houston +3. I'll get to Greg Schiano in a moment, but what questions do you have about my potential retirement from athletics? Somebody said, I totally relate to how you feel. It saddens me to hear you say it. I just got to be honest. I got to be honest with you. I have talked about being a fan for a long time. The last 20 years have not been kind. I got a lot of other things I can do with my job. I can watch movies. I can go watch TV shows. I can do everything else that would make my day and my life more productive. I might go run for political office. I could win the Senate in Tennessee. I could win the governorship. I have zero doubt about either of those things. Might even be helped by divorcing myself from Tennessee fandom in that campaign. But in the next, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to retire from media at age 50. All right? That's 1 decade from now. I told her I am going to retire from media at the age of 50. I need to bank a lot of money, more money, between 40 and 50. 40 or $50 million should be good. Going to make that. Going to have all that money stacked up, which my kids are going to waste once I retire and once I die. But in the meantime, I will have banked a ton of money. And then at 50, I'm going to retire from sports media. I'm going to come out. I'm going to announce that I'm retiring from sports media at the age of 50. And then I'll decide whether I want to get elected to the Senate or the governorship, or if I just want to move to the beach and kick back and chill for the next 30 years. That's my plan right now. Retire at 50 in a decade, be loaded, do whatever I want for the remainder 30 years of my life. That's my plan right now. Might get elected to the Senate, might decide to be governor, not sure exactly. But I feel like a lot of people out there know exactly how I feel. And I have empathy, and I have a great deal of sympathy for the people from the following places who I think understand exactly what I'm going through here. And I want to give them a shout out in no particular order. The people of Buffalo. I feel your pain, Buffalo. I feel like there's a lot of Buffalo people who have retired. I feel like there are a lot of people out there in the city of Atlanta who feel my pain. I feel like there are a lot of people in the Minnesota area that feel my pain. But if you think, I think this is underrated, about sporting futility, the Memphis Grizzlies have never won a championship. The Nashville Predators have never won a championship. When you think about the entire state, the Tennessee Titans and both the Houston Oilers before them have never won a Super Bowl. And the University of Tennessee has won one national championship since 1951 in football or men's basketball in 1998. You run through that entire list, there aren't that many people who are in this same mindset. And I hate to tell you, but probably your team is not going to win a championship either. And I will say this. I think this comes with turning 40. Because before you're 40, I still consider you to be a young man. And when you're a young man, before the age of 40, when a season ends, you still look towards the future and think to yourself, well, I've got more seasons ahead of me than I do behind me. We've got 40 years of me being relatively functional, probably having a good brain, right? Going to about 80. That means that half of my sports fan life is gone. I look ahead right now, and again, I hate to be negative, but I see almost no reason for optimism. And so a part of me thinks now's the time to hang it up, have an official sports retirement fandom, and then just move on with my life and continue to dominate in other facets. Not going to give up sports, but just not going to allow myself to be unable to sleep after a defeat. That's what I'm saying. That's at least what I'm thinking of right now. That's what I'm thinking of. That's my plan. That is where I'm headed in the world. Not trying to be a negative Nancy. Not trying to be a negative Ned. I am just trying to be as straight up honest as possible. I think I need to retire as a fan. Maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe I'll be like Gronk. Maybe I'll be like Floyd Mayweather or Conor McGregor, constantly coming in and out of retirement. But right now, my honesty, I get paid based on being as honest as I possibly can be every day. I think it could be the right call for me. I was saying earlier, like when the Nashville Predators lose, I'm over it in 5 minutes. When I lose a gambling bet, even if I lose a lot of money, I get over it pretty quickly. When Tennessee loses, it takes me days to recover. I'm not recovered today. I won't be recovered by Monday. I won't be recovered by May. It's just not going to happen. So I got to take control of my life, and it may be time for sports fan retirement. Got to be honest. All right. Did you see, speaking of retirement, Greg Schiano is out as Patriots defensive coordinator. Now, I do think that everybody out there in America who criticized University of Tennessee fans for not wanting Greg Schiano owes me an apology and owes the Tennessee fan base an apology. Because let me tell you this right now. If I retire and I ever cite the reason why I'm retiring as my faith and my family, you will know that I screwed up in a huge, humongous, unbelievable fashion. I don't know what I will have done, but if you cite faith and family, you have done something that is really beyond repair, right? I don't know what it was or what he could have done, but first of all, you can be religious and coach football. So if you find it impossible to still be religious and do your job, I'm going to be honest with you. Unless you're like a mob assassin, regularly violating the 10 commandments as a specific part of your job, it's hard to argue that you are unable to do your job and also continue to have your faith, right? Whatever your faith may be. Jewish, Christian, Muslim, atheist, agnostic, whatever you are, I don't care. But if you cite your faith and you have a normal job, like if I was like, hey, I can't do my radio show anymore because of my faith, that would be a lie. I could clearly continue to do my radio show If I ever do it, that is a lie. You should know it. All right? Now, if he just said, hey, I'm tired of working this hard and I've got enough money, I buy that. Look, at some point in time, everybody has enough money, hopefully, and they decide to retire because they don't want to work that hard. So, I don't know. If you are citing faith and family, you did something in a substantial way. So, I think as we move forward, I have no idea what Greg Schiano did, but this just further validates the decision of the Tennessee fan base that he was the wrong decision for Tennessee. Whatever he's got going on right now would probably have happened, and Tennessee would be looking for a brand new football coach instead of having right now at least Jeremy Pruitt there. So I don't know what happened exactly, but this is what would have happened. I don't buy that it wouldn't have happened at Tennessee as well. And if he's having to step down now, I think it's probably likely he would have had to step down at Tennessee too. And so Tennessee fans have at least saved the program from that disaster, even if everything else surrounding the program is a pretty unmitigated disaster. All right, I am headed into the weekend. I got to go coach some Little League baseball. I got to try to catch up on sleep after Ryan Klein pulled out my still beating heart. I appreciate all of you. SBAP unless you need to, DBAP unless you need to SBAP. My picks again, LSU +6, Auburn UNC over 164.5, Virginia Tech +8, and Houston +3. I appreciate all of you. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. Kisses, DBAP unless you need to SBAP. See y'all.